You know, it's wild as if I sat down here right now and I went, oh, I'm so tired. I had a rough workout. I can barely get this podcast out. I'm out here, you guys, but are you kidding me? That's how a lot of you guys function with your life. You're trying to, I don't really even know what you're trying to do. You're expecting this victory, but you're talking to yourself like you're a loser. I think your psychology is your outcome. And somebody asked me, well, how do you have this mindset? How do you keep on going when you know it hurts? You know you want to quit. You're tired. You're miserable. You're angry. You're bitter. What are the stuff? And everybody goes out on Instagram, on social media. I freaking hate social media because most of you guys are a bunch of liars. But on social media, they go, just do it anyway. Yeah, but I want to knock on your door and see if you actually are, because I'll bet most of you guys aren't. Like, your psychology is your outcome. Everything else, all the diet hacks, the medications, the business tactics, all the stuff is just distraction if your brain is broken. Like, you guys are looking for shortcuts and hacks all the time. You spend your entire day looking for a way to speed it up instead of just taking that day and doing the work. You can't out-train a bad mindset. You can't. You've heard it. You can't out-market a broken identity either, so you can't make a lot of money. You can't inject your way out of cowardice or eat your way out of insecurity or meditate your way out of self-deception. You can't do, in fact, all of those things are going to make it worse. And if you're still looking for that next hack, the next pill, the next course, the next coach, the next mentor, whatever, the next system to fix your life, let me save you some time. It's not going to work. It's not. Don't believe me. In fact, challenge me on this. In fact, go so hard into the paint that you challenge every single thing that I say when it comes to this, and enjoy your miserable life that you keep defending instead of going, damn it, this guy's right. Maybe I should listen to him. Because until you fix the operating system that runs the entire machine, you're just putting new tires on this car that's got a blown engine. I could take that 911 or the Rev or anything else, the G, whatever it is that we're driving. If it doesn't run because it blew up, doesn't matter what kind of rims and rubber I put on it. That's what you guys are doing. Listen. You think I come out here because every day I'm like, man, I can't wait to talk to these people. No, in fact, for the most part, I don't. And you want transparent? I don't. I come out here because I give a shit. And there's a difference. It's the same reason why you don't want to say no to your kid, because you see them upset and angry because you didn't let them do something stupid, but your parent brain goes, yeah, but that's something stupid. I get it when parents go, I get the feeling. Let me back up. When parents go, you know what? I just want to really get along with my kids. Yes, absolutely. But you still need to be the friggin' leader, which means saying no and watching them cry. It's okay. You have to play chess. And a lot of you guys are playing checkers. Like, let me destroy all this nonsense, Insta Bro, fluff science, pseudo BS mindset that's floating around from these coaches. Like, I see this one dude, he's the fitness guru, the original fitness guru. He's not. He's just not. I can't when I see this stuff where he's like, you have to be able to think your way into a new mindset. I get what you're trying to do, but why is your life such a dumpster fire? You can't take advice from somebody whose life sucks. Mindset isn't journaling in some little binder with a pink highlighter while you listen to some kind of song. Mindset is your internal architecture. It's how your brain filters. It filters the input and everything that you are getting, gleaning from your environment that you are choosing to absorb, by the way, and then decides the value and then dictates the action. That's how this works. Psychology isn't how you feel. And I think that's where people screw this up. It's how you're wired to respond. In fact, it is how you're wired to respond to specific things too. Pain, uncertainty, failure, resistance, reward, boredom, discipline, pressure, joy, pleasure, all of it. Your psychology is your CPU, central processor. And if anything else is trying to get in the way, it's just noise. Because all of the other things, your tactics, tools, your little morning routine, that's just software. If you haven't fixed your CPU, that central processing unit, that all of that stuff that you keep trying to install, like I get people all the time, what's your workout? And then I give them the workout and they go, nobody trains like that, bro. There's no way. I don't believe it. Bullshit. And then I post the whole workout on YouTube, cover to cover. I just let the camera run. I post like an hour and a half of nonsense of me just crippling myself in the gym. And then the flip side, the person that goes, I want to know what it is, becomes the person going, there's no way. And they become the person trying to attack me and reduce what I do. Make it make sense. No wonder you're always sore and injured and broken all the time, bro. That's totally overtraining. You ever hear of a rest day? No, there's no such thing as overtraining ever. I'll go toe to toe with anybody on that. Bring it. Bring it. Again, go live with me. Anybody. I don't give a shit who it is. Take your PhDs and you can shove them right up your tailpipe because you cannot overtrain. Your body will knock you down first. You can't. You can do the same dumb thing on repeat and then get injured. That's overreaching and that's just idiocy. If I do the same squat workout every single day to capacity, I'm going to cause problems. But nature doesn't take days off. So knock it off with your stupid philosophies. But if I don't fix, like that's, again, back to that, the psychology. So I give them the answer and then they come up with all the reasons why that's not accurate. That can't work. They can't do it. Well, it doesn't matter then. I gave you the tool. I even gave you the psychology. You didn't install any of it. So you didn't install the software upgrade. So now you can't apply the tool, which would be my workout. That's what I'm getting at. If your CPU, your psychology isn't running properly, it's just a bunch of software running on a broken motherboard that's struggling. You got bungee cords and a pull start on your computer. Like I can break this down using biology. I can break this down using anything. Your prefrontal cortex manages something called executive function, decisions, impulse control, discipline, focus, that kind of stuff. Your amygdala triggers fear, self-preservation, all your emotions, to be honest. Your dopamine system is what defines everything you pursue. When you have apathy, your dopamine system's shot. Welcome to social media, by the way. Your HPTA, hypothalamic pituitary axis, decides how you handle all the stress. But stress is not in you and it's not in your environment. It is your perception to physical or psychological threat. So even that in and of itself could have a giant explanation. But that's not mindset. That's neurobiological reality. So when people say you just have to believe in yourself, I see these posts, dude, it goes back to these Insta Bros that are like, you just have to believe, man. I'm going to just sit there and believe. And when you believe, everything's great because you're believing. Can you back it by anything other than running a broken record and actually put some substance into what you're saying? Because that's just parroting what somebody else says. And until I see otherwise in that person's life, whoever that may be, I call cap. You don't just have to believe in yourself. You have to reconstruct the way your brain handles life, because otherwise you're going to self-sabotage every single win that you get. And some of you guys are doing that. Here I am again, trying to help you guys out. So here's the rule. Your life rises and falls to the level of your internal identity. That's it. That's it. No amount of coaching or strategies or peptides or SARMs or biohacks or Tony Robbins quotes is going to override the subconscious thermostat of how you see yourself. Let me drink some coffee, recharge my gas tank, because this one's going to be a banger. If your psychology is poverty-based, for example, you're going to waste wealth. You don't even think you are, but you're going to buy a bunch of stupid things that you don't want, you don't need, and you can't afford. If your psychology is victim-based, which is 95% of the people out there, you're going to sabotage every single aspect of healing anything in your life. If your psychology is fragile, again, most people out there, you are going to implode. You're going to get crippled by failure and pressure. And if your psychology, which is the social media norm now, is predicated on shortcuts and hacks and little ways to get things done faster, you are never going to build anything. You are going to spend your life chasing the next shortcut going, bro, you got to tell me your morning routine. Because here's the truth. You're never going to outperform the psychological script that you are running, the operating system. You need an upgrade. And what's even worse is most people are running scripts that they didn't even write. You don't even do it. You don't even know. That's the worst part. You guys installed software and it's not from you. They're installed by, God, like parents who model fear. I see this a lot. Even my own parents. You have to step on people to be rich. I mean, I can hear my mother saying that and it's just not true. Man, I go out of my way, even this, to help so many people because I care. I honestly think I'm probably one of the few doctors that actually gives a shit about people. I want you to be so healthy. I'm just not too much of a pussy to tell you the truth. And if somebody's like, well, that's not a very good bedside manner, then go see a doctor that powders your butt and gives you all the prescriptions to make you feel like you're getting somewhere. And in 2 years, when you're on life support, you're going to go, damn, I should have listened to that scruffy-faced bald dude that actually cares. But the operating systems you guys are running, installed by parents, teachers who punished questions, friends who rewarded mediocrity, social media that has constantly and will constantly, by the way, weaponize insecurity in a culture that teaches that comfort is a virtue. I can't even get over that. So now they want to be rich and loved and fit and respected, right? But trying to do it with this internal OS, this internal operating system written by people who never did it themselves. Make it make sense. Please make it make sense. And I mean, really, flip the lens. Psychology isn't a woo. It's psychological cause and effect. You are a bundle of input and output. So here's how belief affects biology. Stress, and I'll explain it as best as I can without losing anybody here in this conversation. Stress perception drives hormonal output. Let me explain. If your psychology interprets challenge as threat, right? That's self-generated. Threat is a perception, right? Because look at a gladiator in an arena. If you think that lion's a threat, you're going to shit your pants and go hide in a corner and get friggin' eaten. But if your psychology this is why I said stress perception drives your hormonal output. So if your psychology interprets anything, something, a challenge, for example, is the best one, a challenge as a threat, your body cranks up cortisol, epinephrine, and shuts down the parasympathetic systems like recovery, sleep, digestion. Well, that's a problem. Now, if your psychology interprets challenge as valuable, has purpose, now totally different event. You crank out norepinephrine, testosterone, and dopamine. Never mind interferon and interleukin-2, all these things that actually keep you from getting sick. Different psychology, different hormones result in a different body. Let me explain. So we're going to go out. Let's say I've surfed a bunch. Let's say we're surfing and I see just this face rocketing towards me. That, let's say it's 15 foot, 20 foot, just like, holy shit, this is going to be a crazy ass wave. And I can't wait. And I'm excited. And you're next to me and you've never been out in the water before. And somebody said, you should go surf with this guy. It'd be like me going to surf with Kelly Slater and going, I can keep up. Not a chance. Oh, I'll go because I think Kelly's awesome. Laird Hamilton, also awesome. But I don't have their skill set. So what they're looking at as epic, I might look at it as, are you nuts? I mean, I'm an adrenaline junkie like anybody else. I still will go, holy shit. But here's the difference. And so I'll even spin it differently. I'm the rookie and I'm out with Laird. And Laird is like, let's do it, man. Big wave. Were you ready, bro? And I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to die. It's like Keanu Reeves when he's Johnny Utah. He's like, I'm going to die. I'm going to fucking die out here, man. And he starts paddling and gets up on the board. But the point is he was producing cortisol, adrenaline, all these chemicals based out of fear. And his entire parasympathetic nervous system is shut down. Whereas Laird would be producing interferon, interleukin, dopamine, testosterone, all the things that are going to keep him healthy. Same event. Exactly the same event. Different perception. That's what I'm saying. Your perception shapes your reality, whether you like it or not, but it also shapes your physicality. Different hormones come from a different psychology, creates a different biology, a different body, right? Look at dopamine. Dopamine directs where you allocate your energy. And if you knew that, great. If you didn't, now you know. Here's the easy way to remember it. Where dopamine goes, energy flows. Remember what I said. Dopamine at the right amount is why you have motivation and goals and drive and all the things you do. So when you don't have that, there's a dopamine problem. But you don't need something that keeps dopamine in the synapse. You don't. It goes right back to where I was talking about tesofensine and dihexa. That's the worst thing you can do because you're keeping you're in a spot where they're designed to be taken back up. The problem isn't the neurotransmitter. The problem is everything else. So that is, again, trying to mitigate a problem by covering it up with more noise. So where dopamine goes, energy flows. So if your psychology, which is common, you guys got to hear me on this, man. If it chases short-term pleasure, so escape, distraction, approval, acceptance, scrolling, sugar, all that booze, weed, whatever, you train your neurons to resist deep work. You train them to not be resilient. Remember, your brain recognizes reps. It doesn't recognize good, bad, nothing. It recognizes reps. The more reps you do, the more it goes, this is what I need to do again. If your psychology, so think about it. This is what I'm saying. Your psychology is forming who you are, whether you like it or not. But you are taught none of this. Most people I talk about this to, I get CEOs call me and I need you to talk to my team. I need you to talk to me. I need you to talk, they'll pay me $500,000 to come and talk to them to help them with their life. You know how many times I've heard somebody say, yeah, I heard this? None, not once. And they go, holy crap, I never thought about this. And I get them doing reps in the right direction. And at first the reps suck. My first pull-up, I did one and I spent 5 minutes on an oxygen machine. And then I went in the house. Now I do hundreds a day. You have to just do the reps. If your psychology, think about it, go the other side. If your psychology is rooted in long-term vision and focus and singularity of focus, like Bedros says, and earned reward, not entitled reward, earned reward, dopamine attaches to delayed gratification, which is the ultimate success hack. And I hate using that word because it's not a hack. But now your biology supports effort over escape. Is this making, are you guys getting this? If you even look at belief triggers whether you repair or you get destroyed and decay, like psychoneuroimmunology. Yes, real field. I read all the time, man. Real field, real science. If you believe, listen, and I could say this all day, but it's a fact. If you believe you're healing, your body releases repair signals. What are those signals again? Peptides, small amino acid sequences that tell your body to do things, the peptides that you always have. I can't wait to do the podcast on peptides don't cause cancer. because it's not possible. It's not possible. So anyway, if you believe that you're healing, your body releases these repair signals. It upregulates immune activity and then downregulates all the inflammation. Systemic inflammation, chronic inflammation it's devastating to your body. I can't even begin to tell you how bad it is. Like TB 500, everybody should be doing that every 5 days. Just leave it at that. BPC 157, everybody. I'm not recommending it. That's hypothetical, experimental, and educational, all this stuff. I have to say that real quick. Otherwise, somebody's going to lose their mind. But if you believe, even look at this, if you believe you're broken, then your body creates more systemic stress. So now you have a weakened immune function, you have increased oxidative damage, and it accelerates versus retards, slows down cellular aging. You can take all the Epitalon you want to activate telomerase, which focuses on the telomeres. If you remember any of this, if you don't, maybe you should go back and listen to some of my episodes because redundancy is boring. But telomerase causes the end cap of the DNA to remain intact every time there's a cell division, without getting into the biology of the whole thing. But you don't think yourself better if you believe, let me back up. You don't think yourself better in general, because I think this is where people get a little confused. You believe listen, I'll say it again. You don't think yourself better. And I'll tell you a funny story about when I was at Bora with Brandy. You believe yourself into behavior that activates the biological signaling and repair code. You understand the difference? So Brandy and I went to Bora one time. We stayed in this hut out in the water with this huge glass floor. It was awesome. It was so awesome. It was like Couples Retreat, right? The movie. It's probably one of the coolest trips I've been on with my wife. And like, God, she is so sexy. Just thinking about her. Like we had this huge deck all to ourselves. We were the last hut out on the end of this long pier. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. I mean, we'd swim underneath. I had a light. The whole lagoon it was insane. It was so insane. But I got real sick about 5 days in. I went to bed, felt a little off. And for some reason, maybe you guys will agree or not, when you get sick, whether it's food poisoning or just a gut issue, anything, it always happens at about 2:00 in the morning, 1 to 2 in the morning. And your body goes, hey, listen, I just want to let you know, F you, and I'm going to make you miserable. So let's ride this pony. So I woke up and I felt like crap. Well, I'm in Bora, and I thought, man, if you take me across to the center, and if you know where that big mountain is, it's a little town in there. We went there. It was pretty cool. But I thought, I don't know how well their healthcare is. And the food at this resort was insanely good. Every night was a different theme. Something didn't agree with me. I might have pancreatitis for all I know. Didn't get any enzymatic checked, so I had no idea, right? And I spent the entire day, and it was the nicest day of the entire 10 days we were there by far. I mean, it was textbook perfect. A movie could have been shot on this day. And there's my wife in her sexy, tiny little bikini, all fit and gorgeous, hanging out on this towel. And it was one of these times where my wife is like, I want you all day. Like, let's just be naked all day. And I was so sick. And I mean, my poor wife trying to seduce me and then realizing how sick I really was. I spent the entire day on the floor of the bathroom. So the bathroom had a floor that turned into the shower, these big slate tiles. And I put a towel down and I turned the water on, lukewarm, and I laid there for like 8 hours. And I would get up and throw up and poop and throw up and poop. I mean, just as unattractive as it gets. And I felt like crap because I didn't want to go across to the island for God knows what reason, because I didn't know what kind of help they're going to put a giant rubber hose in me and fill me full of God knows what. So I just didn't want to do it. But the entire time I was there, I kept talking to God, thanking him for how powerful I am, my immune system just crushing whatever's inside me, how strong. I said, I as many prayers as I could. And all I did was talk to God nonstop, probably 8-10 hours. And the next day I was 85% better. And it lingered a little bit. I was careful about what I ate. But the reason I'm saying that is I kept telling myself how good I felt, how strong I felt, how powerful I was, thanking God for all of that stuff. Now, I can't count the number of times this has worked. So what you say becomes who you are. You don't think you can trigger your immune system or your nervous system or your hormone system or anything with the conversations in your head? You bet your ass you can. But the point is, I didn't think myself better because I demanded, I started drinking more. I drank water all day. I ate tiny little bits. The brat diet, right? Banana, rice, applesauce, and toast. And I just made sure I kept my energy up the way it was, and I got better faster. But you believe yourself into behavior, like I said, that activates, right? The behavior that I was doing was activating the biological repair code. I didn't understand the biology behind it in the moment because I was too sick. But what most people do when they get sick is they collapse and turtle and talk about how bad they feel. Listen, I'm not doubting that you feel bad. I'm not doubting that it sucks to be broke. I'm not doubting that your heart hurts because your wife left. I'm not. But if that's all you talk about and think about, that's all you're going to be about. And your physiology is going to follow. Let me explain. Maybe this will get a little clearer. The real reason why, because a lot of you guys keep starting over. And I've gotten messages from you guys saying, I just keep starting over. And I just haven't caught that wave yet. I haven't gotten to that point. I'm still trying to find myself, get started. You're 50. I got a buddy of mine, Tim Elliott. Love this guy. I did a podcast with him. I want to do another one because he's a really good dude. Tim and Jamie, wonderful friends of ours. I mean, he's 56. Might have had a birthday. I have to check. 57. Fit, healthy, looks a lot like Victor Marx, who's a gangster, badass dude as well. But I mean, he sold his company for 9 figures. He never has to worry about money again. He still works incredibly hard. But there were days where he said he would come home and he'd been working 16 hours and him and 2 other partners trying to get this thing off the ground and get it working. But the point I'm making is that he was done by the time he was 50 to 52. I don't know exactly. I'd have to ask when he sold his company, but he was done. He doesn't have to work ever again. He does. But that's what I mean. If you're starting over at 50, great. But you can't keep starting over because that's the problem. You keep thinking that you have to, but every time you do that, you start over at the bottom at the beginning of the race. No matter how little you thought you were, how far you had moved forward, you had moved forward. So you don't have a strategy problem. Listen to me. You guys, you don't have a strategy problem. You have a psychological permissions problem. You keep this is why. More coffee, hold on. It's interesting because people ask me like, I've tried the whole coaching and mentorship and mastermind thing. I don't chase people around to join my mastermind. I come out here and I just show that either I'm worth it to you or I'm not. But I know this, I come from 0 in my family. Great parents, solid, savage, God-fearing, tons of discipline, sometimes a little too much, parents that were together. I mean, my dad passed away, but they didn't split up. You get that makes me already the top 1%. I come from home with a mom and a dad. This is the original equipment. And I'm grateful for that. And that reminds me, I have to call my mom. But because I don't talk to her nearly enough. I used to talk to my mom, totally random, almost every day on my way home from the clinic. That's like 6-7 years ago now. Almost every day, almost every night. Just talk to her for an hour or so. I need to get back into that habit. Mom, if you're listening, sorry, I'm going to give you a phone call today. It's date night. It's Friday. I'll call you tomorrow. But the psychological permissions problem is that, just so I can come back to this starting over thing, you think that you're getting somewhere. It's the illusion of progress when all you're doing is moving. It's because here are the things you keep trying to do before, because I could go off on so many tangents, but here are the things that you keep trying to do. And I know I'm right. And I'm coming here out to help you. You try and build wealth, money. Like I came from nothing. 4 years ago, I had nothing. I looked at my wife and kids and went, no, not on my watch, man. I've struggled plenty. You guys have no idea how much I've struggled. And it's not a contest. There's people that have had it way worse. They climb a cliff to go to school. But the point is, it's not just about, I don't give up. I'll just be relentless. Let me think my way positive. No, it's about changing. It's about changing your psychology so you take actions that move you in the right direction. But if you keep starting over, you're going to be that 70-year-old that's a Walmart greeter going, I'm filled with bitterness and piss and vinegar and regret because I didn't do the things I should have and I didn't stay in the game long enough. Think about this, $1,000. I used to use $100,000 in 2010 invested in Bitcoin, about 2.8 billion with a B. And it didn't happen instantly. There was lots of rises and falls all the way up to that. But what happened is people didn't have the psychology to stay in the game when they saw it crashing. They went, nope. And they panic pulled their money. I will never made millions with Bitcoin, millions and millions and millions for my family because I care. It's not, I'm not going to get into the finances, but here's the problem. You keep trying to build all this wealth. Everybody want more money? Yes. Stop saying you don't. It's a lie. You want the freedom that comes with the money. So you want to build wealth without breaking your scarcity programming that you got installed in you. You want to get fit without letting go of your emotional identity around food and activity and action and work. You want to save your marriage without fixing the way that you process trust, connection, passion, intimacy, friggin' communication. You want to cure a disease while still believing that you deserve to suffer and that you can only do it a certain way. And if it's not approved by a certain 3-letter agency, it's not good. Are you out of your mind? Don't even get me started on that one. That 3-letter agency has 0 interest in your health. It has 100% vested interest in you being a subscriber. Make sure you understand that. But you do all that, and then you wonder why every attempt feels like sabotage. It's not sabotage. It's homeostasis, psychological homeostasis. Your brain is just trying to keep you aligned with a psychological identity that you've never once rewritten. You've never installed a new operating system. You don't need another hack. You need a new internal contract. I just smacked my head for you guys listening on the podcast on Spotify, because right now your brain is loyal to your past. It's not loyal to all the things that you are capable of, all of that potential. It doesn't, because it doesn't want to do it, because you thrive on comfort and are like just bitter about the discomfort you're in. It's like cognitive dissonance times 10. Like, look at the 5 biggest transformation goals in life and how psychology is easily, like, that's what I was thinking. I wrote down 5. They're all sitting right here. And how psychology is the linchpin for I'll prove it for every single one. Look at money. You still got money. Don't even say money or riches. Say wealth. You do not get rich because you start a business. You don't. You get rich because your psychology tolerates. This is so important. Risk without emotional collapse and crippling. A delay of gratification, huge singularity of focus, rejection without any identity crisis, some self-worth issue because somebody said no, and discipline without anybody looking over your shoulder. No supervision required. Most of you guys need supervision. When somebody's not looking, you go, okay, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to sit on the couch. You hear somebody come up to your door, you get up and you start pretending like you're working, except nobody believes you, including you. If your mind hasn't reconditioned those things around wealth, you're going to burn down every business you've built. You want to join my mentorship to make $1 million in 1 year? That's what I do. Do I guarantee it before somebody goes, what guarantee do I have? No. I guarantee that if you don't do anything, you're going to stay right where you are. And if you keep looking for shortcuts and hacks, you're going to get worse. But you need to master those things, those 4 things. You need to master 5, actually. Singularity of focus, delay of gratification, rejection without some crisis, some horrific, oh my God, I've been traumatized. You need to manage and mitigate risk without any emotional collapse. Most of you guys are crippled by failure. And then you have to be disciplined, regardless whether somebody's watching or not. If you can do those 5 things, now we can build a business. And most people go, what's the hack to build a business? How do I get more leads? But you haven't mastered those 5 things, which means it doesn't matter if you get leads. You're going to burn down your business. And I guarantee you, some of you guys are listening to this going, shit, that's exactly what I keep doing. But nothing. You have to manage those first. Look at your health. I could do this. I could do this about 50 things. You don't get fit from a workout plan, mine or anybody else's. I mean, one of the most badass cats that I know is this guy named Judd, right? And if you follow him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I talk about this guy a lot because I love the guy to death. He is 260, 6'2", 3". He is a giant human being, probably runs about 10%, 8% body fat, moves like a gymnast. The guy is so springy and so fast and so agile. You know why? Because he works on it all the time, because he wants to stay that way for as long as God permits him to be on this planet. That is good psychology. Why do you think I look like this as a byproduct of my psychology? I don't train to be an athlete. I train, and the result is I am an athlete. You don't get fit from a plan. You guys buying all these plans from some Insta Bro or Insta Sista who gives you something that's unique and secret that nobody else knows. I'll say it again. You want to lose weight? Take your body weight in pounds, times it by 12. You're welcome. If that really doesn't work, times it by 10. If you need help, Retatrutide. Retatrutide is a longevity peptide, by the way. The fat loss is just a bonus. I'll explain that in another podcast. I'm not kidding. The more I learn about it, the more I go, holy shit, this thing is amazing. That's why Ozempic and Mounjaro can't touch it, because they're not even playing the same game. Body weight in pounds times 12. That's how many calories. That same body weight in pounds times 1 or 1.5. Take your pick. That's how much protein per day. Now times that protein number by 4. That's how many calories that protein is eating up in your day. Now minus the first number, the body weight in pounds times 12. Take the protein number and subtract it from that first number. That's what you have left to play with once you satisfy that protein requirement for the day. You can eat boxes of frosted flakes covered in syrup as long as you do not crest that caloric limit. You will lose weight. You're not going to feel so good if you're eating bowls of Skittles every day, but you can't get fat. Thermodynamics doesn't change because you want it to and you don't like how it feels. Physiology doesn't change. The laws are the laws. This is why you listen to guys like me who understand science and human biology and physics and chemistry and biochem and all the things that we had to learn and all the stuff that I still learn. I nerd out on this stuff all the time. You know what my wife thinks is hot? That I'm smart. She says, that's the sexiest thing about you. And this is 2 decades of her asking me questions and getting answers and getting help and just sitting there and watching me burn. She loves it. And I think that's awesome because my wife is insanely smart. Our conversations are awesome. Our debates are so great. Point is you don't need a plan from some person. If you do, go buy it from Judd. Not because he's a friend of mine, because that guy knows his stuff. But you get fit. When your psychology fits, it opens up the locks. Your psychology, when your psychology views food as fuel, not an escape or not some therapeutic thing that you do, it prioritizes discomfort, it attaches an identity to action and execution instead of the identity being attached to your excuses and validations. And you stop negotiating with the body, yours, when it hurts and you're sore and you're uncomfortable and it's hard and you're tired. Do those 4 things, guaranteed to be fit. Because if you still see health as a punishment, that's the problem, is that people look at the acquisition of health as a punishment. Well, then you're going to relapse every day. Relapse. You're just going to do it. You could do this with a relationship. You don't have intimacy issues. I have the best sex of my freaking life with my wife. It is as wild and crazy and anything we want, anytime, whenever, because we love the shit out of each other. We trust each other. We communicate. We don't have any intimacy issues. We look at it and go, this is awesome. But you don't have, in your relationships, you don't have intimacy issues. You have a psychology, and this is real common, that interprets your vulnerability as a threat. Like my wife, the secret to every relationship is always the same. Number 1, don't be in love with an idea. Be in love with a person and give them all the weapons and tools and every lethal thing you can give them to utterly obliterate your life, knowing they're not going to. You're welcome. But here's what happens. You avoid conflict because you think peace is absence of tension versus the presence of truth. They're not even in the same league. You chase validation from each other, from other people to make you feel important because your identity isn't self-sourced. You have an identity that doesn't come from you. It comes from everything else. It comes from likes and follows and hearts and people that say you're so pretty. You shut down. I see this all. You shut down because you've never rebuilt your own internal conflict response. So when something shows up, I've heard this from people, I just shut down. How is that going to solve the problem? It's not. If you shut down every time, you never have a solution every time. You don't need date nights as much as you need a psychological recalibration. If you go on a date night and these things aren't in place, it doesn't matter. The date night isn't self-resolving. It becomes a task, and a task that most people do with bitterness because they're not doing it with the psychology behind it, supporting the relationship. Even healing. Like I am here because my psychology says you better figure out a way to get better and become a juggernaut. Like you ever wonder why some people, and I hear this, people go, dude, I saw you as a doctor. And like even now, I get calls from you guys and messages from you guys. Dude, you gave me more information and helped me solve all these health problems and got me out of this, and this, whether it's psychological, financial, physical, health. It doesn't matter. When for a decade, nobody could help me. That's what I mean. You see these people reverse autoimmune disease and others don't. Same protocol, same doctor, same supplements, all the stuff, different outcome. We've seen it. I did that. I tried that, bro. It didn't work. Here's the difference. The identity shifted. They stopped seeing themselves as a victim of broken biology and instead started acting like they were the sovereign CEO of the human biology, their physiology. They are the one running the show, and their cells respond. Because remember what I said, your biology follows belief. You can doubt it all you want. Go home, look in the mirror, tell yourself you're going to die of a terminal disease every single day for 30 days. You will not make day 30. You won't. Argue all you want. I don't care. If you're dumb enough to do it, then you should have been eaten. You shouldn't be here anyway. So it doesn't really matter. And if you look at leadership, remember I said there's 5 critical areas. This is one of them. No one follows a person with a skill set and a fragile little mindset ever. You know what leaders are? People that not everybody likes, but everybody listens to. Real leadership is psychology. Real leadership, this is how you know. As soon as you see somebody blaming and they can't handle pressure, whatever it is, the second somebody has any pressure on their life and they can't handle it without blaming, you are not a leader. You're not. Get mad. I'm still right. Real leadership psychology looks like this. You handle pressure without any blame or victimization. You make decisions without asking permission from people all the time. Is this okay? What do you think? You accept all of the conflict, whatever it is. You take the burden, put the cross on your back, and you don't need a lick of applause. In fact, you don't care if anybody's looking or not. You just do it. And ultimately, you take absolute ownership, right? Like a Jocko says, absolute ownership and responsibility for things that you didn't even cause. And most of you on that last one just went, why would I do that? That's stupid. I'm going to stand up for what I believe. If I'm not wrong, I'm not taking, yeah, but you can't fix it then. How about you just shut your mouth, state your case, claim your space about how you're going to solve it, and go do it. Instead of standing there stomping your feet, crying about how I'm not going to do it and how dare you, and you get all bitchy about something, about what somebody said or about what happened to you. Did it happen? Yes. It doesn't matter if it's your fault or not. It's your responsibility to fix it. If you're going to wait around for other people to fix it, you're not a leader. If your psychology isn't calibrated to carry weight, and I mean all the weight, here's what happens. You crumble under influence, even when the influence is wrong. So what most people ask me when we do a consult or they hire me, all right, how do I change my psychology then, Spartan? What do you got for me, Doc? And then they wait for, and I've had this, for some magic, whatever, meditation app or some secret seed or plant or leaf or some retreat where you do trust falls off of a bridge. None of that's going to help you. And if that's you doing that and you go, what helped me? Go. But it didn't. Let me be very clear. Your psychology doesn't change because you think new thoughts. That's the illusion that people have. It doesn't change because you think new thoughts. It changes. Listen, it doesn't. And if you go, well, isn't that the very nature of psychology? You are thinking one-dimensionally and superficially, and you're pissed off because I just called you out for your stupid actions. Your psychology doesn't. It can't change because you just think new thoughts. It changes when you perform new behaviors consistently through enough repetitions that your brain rewires what's familiar. Neuroplasticity. Remember, it recognizes reps. Thinking new thoughts doesn't do it. Performing new behaviors consistently until that becomes the norm, that's what does it. Neuroplasticity isn't triggered by journaling about how confident you are or how powerful you are today or listening to some song. That's not how it works. It's triggered by confronting the same resistance repeatedly until your nervous system stops signaling danger. If you remember, that's what I said. You perceive something as a threat and it becomes a threat, and now you conduct yourself as if it's a threat, even if you don't think you're doing that. You look at courage, for example. It's not a feeling. That's a pattern. Discipline isn't motivation. You guys all, I just got to wait for some motivation. I'm so disciplined though, bro. Then why aren't you when it counts? Discipline happens and it's self-reinforcing the more you do it. That's momentum. That's discipline. And nobody can give you self-respect. I caught a post, Erica Sarah. She and I BS once in a while on social media. She's awesome, actress. And she's Eureka. She's been in Warehouse 13. She's been in a bunch of movies, The 100. She's dope. She plays Joe Lupo. My wife loves her character. And there's a reason, because they're very similar. But she made a post today where it said your self-worth has to come. It's an inside job. It comes from you. And there was 10 different things that she talked about. But that's what I'm saying is self-respect, self-worth. You don't get it from something. You earn it through your execution and actions. That is what creates the mindset, the psychology. That's how psychology has changed. It's pressure, it's reps. When it's dull, it's boring, you want to stop, and it feels very uncomfortable. It's by being the person that you want to become before it even feels natural whatsoever, which is why shortcuts don't work. By the very nature, they can't work because you haven't done the legwork. So the neuroplasticity doesn't exist. So the grooves, those neural grooves don't exist, which means your brain is constantly fighting you. Now, do you see how this works? Like, most people are addicted to trying everything except what will work, to be honest. It's like chasing the new workout plan, the new sex partner, the new business model, the new business, the new supplement, new therapy, new distraction, new approval, new acceptance, new friend group, new house, new car, like whatever. It doesn't matter. Why? Because all of those things let them keep the same damn psychology. That's why. They get to rearrange the furniture without ever fixing the foundation in the house. The problem is it feels productive, which makes them feel optimistic, but it avoids the pain of looking at the real problem. They never face the real problem. You're the common denominator. Your brain is filtering every tool through the same fear and laziness and insecurity and the false identity that you run a dialogue on 24/7, 365. And until all that changes, listen, you could give somebody all the money, all the love, all the sex, the abs, the health, the cars, the mansions, all of that in the world, all of it. And they will find a way to sabotage it all because they're still psychologically attached to suffering. You want the shortcut? And listen here, I'm going to button this up because I didn't realize I was on here so long. The real hack, the real shortcut, here, fix your psychology. And if you go, oh, dude, I thought you were going to give me something I could use. I just did. You're not willing to do it. Fix your psychology because your entire life, money, health, relationships, fulfillment, purpose, all the stuff you guys dance around social media looking for, it's not determined by what you know whatsoever. 100% determined by what you believe that you deserve to be true, what your brain will allow, and then what your nervous system can tolerate, the stress, your ability to tolerate stress. The more you can tolerate stress and the less you tolerate the behavior you can't stand and the circle that you can't stand, for example, the more successful you become. That's psychology. If you don't fix it, everything else is just what I said, rearranging furniture, but you're doing it now in a burning house. Stop hunting for hacks. Stop. And before somebody goes, well, are peptides a hack? No, a drug is a hack because it forces an outcome in a system that it's not designed to do. It's not designed to do what the drug is saying do unless it's saving a life. And even then it's not designed. It just keeps you alive. But ultimately, a peptide is a signal. No cancer. No, I can't with some of you guys. Peptide tells your body to do something it's already been doing. It's just doing it poorly. And that peptide already exists in your system. So you're not covering something up and not handling the problem first and curing and clearing out, solving deficiencies. You actually are mitigating the deficiencies, and the result is your health. So stop hunting for hacks and everything. Relationship money, the business model, the secret funnel that makes everybody money, the one phrase that you can say to make every girl want to have sex with you, all the dumb things that you guys look at on social media, following all these Insta coaches and Insta Bros that say they got the secret plan to make you healthy, to solve your marriage, to do all that. You're laying on pillows at some campfire together going, okay, this is what we're going to do now. Hold your partner's hand and look deeply into their eyes. Knock it off. Fix your psychology first. Stop pretending your problem is a strategy. That's not what you need. Your problem is not strategy. Your problem is the internal software that says you're not ready to win yet. And you're not willing to do what it takes. You're not willing to do all the hard things, the discomfort, and aim yourself in the direction and then do the reps until it becomes normal. Rewrite that part of your brain, because then everything else just follows suit. It all changes automatically. It's not complicated. It's just that most people won't do it. Anyway, I got to go. Never miss.